Welcome back to our 72nd episode of the Launch Your Farm Show, where I interview Vivien Sharon with Sotheby's International Realty Canada in Toronto. In this episode, Vivien and I talk about why she chose to focus her efforts on the luxury Yorkville market and how she's become a recognized local maven for her community. And Vivien shares how she built her lifestyle brand that allows her to do the things that she enjoys in her community and how she builds relationships at the same time. And we talk about what social media strategies she's tried and what has worked best for her target market to attract both buyers and sellers. And Vivien shares a super easy way to use local community interviews to establish credibility, create shareable content, and to help educate consumers about her farm area. And she talks about how she's been using video and professional photography to create a large catalog of content that she repurposes for various marketing strategies. Plus, a ton of other ideas that you can use in your geographic farm. So be sure to check out this episode, like and subscribe, and enjoy the episode with Vivien. Welcome back to another episode of the Launch Your Farm Show. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and today we've got a great guest. It's Vivien Sharon with Sotheby's International Realty Canada from Toronto. So Vivien, take a second, tell us a bit about yourself and why you're here.
Hi, everyone. I'm a broker with Sotheby's International Realty Canada based in Toronto. My home base really is in a very niche neighborhood, which is Yorkville in Midtown Toronto. And I'm really excited to be here to share my experience and background working in a very special urban niche in the center of Toronto.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to dive in because I know we've known each other for a few years and I've been following your career for the last little bit about really how you've created such a unique kind of brand and business within that, like you said, a micro pocket within the city. So before we dive into that, I want to kind of get to know a bit about your past, how you got into real estate and what got you into farming that area. So how long have you been in the business and what got you into it?
So I come from a real estate family, and we owned and co-owned a property management business for 25, 30 years, which still exists. But after some time, I decided to leave that, and it was great experience. And 10, 11 years ago, I decided to get my real estate license to go on my own to help people in the real estate market because I really love and enjoy the work. So I have been a broker now for about 10 years, and I joined Sotheby's some years ago. I have two areas that I specialize in. I have a certified luxury designation to work in that luxury market, but not everything is luxury that I do. But it gives me credibility, no doubt, for people, which we will discuss in this market. And also, I have a pivotal master accredited senior agent designation, which means I very much specialize part of my business in a demographic, which is the boomers and the older boomers. So I have that special designation. So those two areas make it sub niches, I would say.
Nice. And they do overlap, and I want to talk about that later on as well.
Yes.
There's some definitely overlap between the luxury and the seniors market as well. So when you got into the business, were you specializing in anything, or were you just kind of doing a free for all like most agents do when they start?
When I started, I definitely was on the learning curve, learning the business and the sales background and how one needs to be the best in this with buyers and sellers. So I realized within the first year that I need to specialize. I need to find a niche because to be a generalist, yes, I am on occasion a generalist and have to go out of my niche. I have to, because you can't do everything in your area.
Yep.
But I realized, I went down deep, so to speak, in how I live my life and where I live. Why would I not specialize in the market where I have my office and my home office, which is behind me, which is in Yorkville, which is like the center of Manhattan, the center of LA, or the center of a big city. This is in Toronto. It's the largest center in the country, Toronto, and I live in a really fine luxury area and mid area and all the ranges, which we can talk about. So I said, I can do this best because this is where I live.
Yeah. Did you grow up in that area? So did you know it for a long time, or did you move into that area at the time when you started?
So I did not live in this area in my earlier years. I lived in the suburbs. I grew up in North York, North Toronto, raised a family in a home, in several homes in North Toronto. And then I'm a typical boomer, sold the large suburban house in south of Steele's Bayview area, and moved more than 15 years ago, before anybody of my age sphere, and decided, because I love the city, I love the vibe, I love cultural life. I was constantly, every weekend, we were coming downtown to do arts, culture, and eating and shopping. Why don't we move here? So I was one of the first early boomers, more than 15 years ago, to sell the suburban home and to move down here, where I have everything at my fingertips.
Which is awesome. And that's, I think, part of the selling features of why people want to live there, but also why you want to live there. And you can live and tell the story of why it's a great place, that you're not just selling in the area, you're living it, and you're enjoying the area that you farm, which is a big part of what I think farming should be about. Is you don't have to, I don't think everyone has to live in the area, but you have to be part of that lifestyle. You have to be part of the culture that's living in the area. You have to know the restaurants. You have to know the businesses that are in the area. You have to be connected to the community to really get the most out of it. And it sounds like you've obviously dove in head first and really made that part of who you are and what you do.
Exactly. And I think over time, so I'm talking about a 10-year period, it was a slow evolution, but people knew, because I spoke to them about my lifestyle, where I live and what I like to do. And it became very clear within that first year that my major niche has to be the Yorkville neighborhood within the annex. Why? Because it's so close to everything. The walk score is 100% or 100 walk score. You don't really need a car, and it's for all age groups, because you have people of every age that live here, because they're young students. They're young students going to the University of Toronto or Ryerson further downtown, and other schools and neighborhood areas where they can have, culture. You have culture, you have education, you have the University of Toronto here. As I mentioned, you have the hospitals. You have hospitals, you have proximity to the arts, which we know the Royal Ontario Museum and the Art Gallery is a little bit further south, the Bata Museum, the Gardner Museum. You have so many facets. So people move here, they relocate here for business. They move here to study. The young people, or whatever age they're studying, or mature students, they're coming here to study and get higher level degrees. You have young professionals starting their first careers, singles, couples. You also have young families, because there's a whole resurgence, because people do not want to do the commute, not everybody.
Yep.
And we're noticing that condos throughout this neighborhood, some of them are larger, and they could be 2 to 3 bedrooms, certainly 3 bedrooms if you have 2 children. And they live a more confined, smaller urban life in a smaller, like in Manhattan, like in a large city. Not everyone has the large mega home somewhere. And so it really attracts a lot of people. So my clientele, I realize I help first-time buyers who are looking to find their first condo and get into the market and be close to the TTC. We also right on top of the public transportation, 5 minutes away.
Nice.
And this is what they say to me. They want to be close to the TTC, yet in a really urban vibe. And that's what we have here. So you have the young urban professionals, young urban couples who are moving here. Some of them are renting first. And I deal with that, not in a major way, but with renters as well. And also boomers who want to sell and rent until they know what they want to do next.
Right. They want to kind of find their way in the area and then see what's the right place for them.
Right. So the demographics of this neighborhood, being in a city, is very interesting. So you have the first time buyers that I deal with. You have the young families who, not a lot of them, I'll say not a lot, but because it's not that affordable to live in the city. Let's talk about affordability. It's one of the most expensive neighborhoods in all of the country. So you do have the occasional young families who have 1 or 2 children who want the luxury lifestyle and can afford it. And then you have the boomer set that we talked about, selling the large suburban home and coming back down to the city to enjoy the city life, which is what I did. So I get the whole, I've had children, and I have children, and I understand the lifestyle cycle, which is all here.
Which is good, because I find sometimes you have certain farms may be very uh, you may have like a suburban young neighborhood where it's like all young families and you don't have a mix. You may have a super high-end area where it's all high-end people. It's nice to see that there's a mix in there of different price points, different styles, and different age demographics as well, because that, I think, it helps keeps your job interesting, I'm sure. And it also allows people to move up and move down, and there's more opportunities for you in there as well by having different demographics in there. So I want to ask about then finding your clientele, because obviously, because there's a different range of different people coming from different walks of life, different ages. How are you connecting with your ideal clients who are moving to the area or moving from the area out of the area?
Right. There are a number of ways. I've been very, very big or busy in the social media sphere.
Yeah.
Over the past few years. I realized very early on, I thought I don't need a Facebook account, and I don't need it because I didn't have any of that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But how can you do this if you're a hidden person, a hidden agent and secret agent? So I couldn't do this by myself. I'm here to meet and connect with people. So I learned very early on, I need help. I need help. And I reached out to young people, sort of millennial market. And I was introduced very early on to a young fellow who really helped build my business. There is no way I could have done this on my own. So within the first year, I found this wonderful fellow who has helped me carve my niche.
Nice.
Through social media. So we began with baby steps. At the beginning, I did not have my own website. I had one from my real estate company that I was with at the time. And it was generic. There was nothing special about it. So we crafted every year. We had a new goal. What are we going to do this year? The first year, going back 8-9 years ago, was you need your own website. You need to brand it. So it's now my name, viviensharon.com, but it has many tentacles that come out of it. And every couple of weeks we brainstorm every week on Zoom.
Nice.
All these years, and we build it out. So we started with the basic viviensharon.com website. Then we created who am I within this website. So I booked a photographer years ago in the neighborhood, and my tech guru, media guru, set this up for me with the photographer, and we went to really beautiful restaurants in Yorkville, and I had little pictures and little messages that came out of it that we put all over social media, in particular throughout my website. Drinking coffee and Nespresso in a specific corner in Yorkville, going to this hotel, interviewing these people. So it became first pictorial, and then it became video.
Nice.
And then we created from the website Twitter account, Instagram account, Facebook account, business account, YouTube account, all of that. And it's all called Yorkville Lifestyle.
Nice.
So it used to be Yorkville Lifestyle Real Estate. And then I decided to change that, because it's not just real estate.
Yeah.
It's lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because I have now over 8 to 10 years, I feel people recognize me, find me, and refer business to me, because I have such a strong brand, I believe, in social media and on the internet. And people Google me, and I really have spent money. I have spent my money not doing flyers, I'll be honest. I tried doing that with buildings and so on, but you have to keep doing it. And it's very heavily dominated and by others. And I'm thinking, why do that? It's the same as everybody else. It works in some neighborhoods, I'm sure. I did do a regular mail out in my condo building, and people know me. And I have a condo building with 100 owners. So that's like a big geographic farm. So they see me. Vivien, how's business? How are things in Yorkville? What are you selling? Have you sold any units in this building? Which I have, many. Sold or bring in buyers. It's word of mouth. It's social media. It's building it out, and in little baby steps. And these have now mounted to quite a presence, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. You mentioned that is the baby steps. And a lot of people, when they come to a farm, they want instant results, or really anything in our business. They want to turn on the tap and have a flood of leads coming in. And it does take time. And this is where I find in my experience, most agents fail in that they expect those instant results and they give up before they even start to see results. They try something for a couple months and then they give up on it. And the reality is that you have to build a foundation, a solid foundation, and then you start to layer on. And I'm sure you've experienced it. There's things you got to try. There's things you got to test out. Some things may not work as well as others. You have to really kind of experiment. And that's, I've always said, is your farm is kind of like a laboratory where you can do some experiments, you can test out things and then see what works and then start building on that. And over an 8-10 year career, you can start to really see a great result from it. But it takes tinkering and it takes layering it in. And you've obviously done really well with that to start to build on top of that to have the career that you've had from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one has to always be flexible and open-minded and be welcome to change.
Yep.
And if one has the basis that one believes in and the passion of promoting a particular market and the pros of living in this area and believing it, people will believe you if you are authentic about it.
Yep.
And if I can sort of tell people my experience. Also, what helps is this is my experience. And when you come from experience, they understand that I've lived this life downtown for many, many years now. I know who are the local salons that I would suggest and who are the local shoe repair places. There are like a whole bunch of them, but I've tried in the years I've been here. Now I've told you at least 15.
Yeah.
I've come to hone down a list of places that I recommend, and people ask me, and you become, even if you're in a suburban area, the so-called local Maven person. And that's what I have tried to do, so much so that last year I was approached by an e-magazine called inthenowlocal.com, and they have selected individual ambassadors throughout North America.
Wow.
inthenowlocal.com, and they came to me and said, Vivien, we want you to be it's called the roving Yorkville neighborhood expert. Vivien knows Yorkville. And then they have Vivien, somebody knows Nashville, and someone knows New Orleans, and someone knows Oakville, and all over North America. This happened, and then they have a picture of some of the boutiques in Yorkville around the corner from me.
Nice.
So this is also like, it's come from working very hard in every avenue of social media and speaking about it and talking about it and doing YouTube videos, which we can talk about because that's the next thing I want to build out in a big way. So I have this past year gone to many local restaurants and done videos on them.
Nice.
And I say that I have been named the local Yorkville lifestyle guru or expert. I deal with real estate, but I also like to promote great stores. And there's one great store that sells jeans, and they're very well known, called Over the Rainbow. And they got tons of hits after I did a little 2-minute snippet with my video guy came, and we did an interview and we did the store. We went to some top restaurants, some little dives that just opened, some little, shops that I think have really interesting things. So it becomes like a People magazine thing too. It's sort of fun. As you can see, I'm a past journalist. So
nice.
Putting together some journalism and a lifestyle and People magazine together with real estate is sort of what I do.
That's great. And it's a great opportunity to really help showcase who you are and the community in one. And one of the things I teach all the time, I call it CPR, which is the foundations of what farming is, which is community, positioning, and relationships. And the positioning part, you position yourself as the ambassador and the expert. And you've done that extremely well as that ambassador for the community by becoming that local guide, by becoming that person who knows the community, is giving back to the community. And you're being that expert by showing that you know what's going on, you're connected to people. And that's really what people are looking for when they're looking for a great agent, especially when it comes to, I find on the buy side, they want someone who knows who's who, what's what, and how they can be connected to the community. And if you can be that person for your farm, that elevates your trust factor by multitudes, because people know that you're not just here to sell a house. You're not just here to collect a paycheck. You're there to actually help and support the community. And I think that's a big part of what farming should be about. And so many people just take the transactional approach where they're just trying to get a sale. And I think people can see through that. Like you said earlier, you have to be authentic, and people have to see that, and they will know the difference between someone who's being authentic because they enjoy what they're doing versus someone who's just trying to get a sale. And I think you've done an incredible job at taking your lifestyle, sharing it with other people's lifestyles, and connecting the community together, which is huge.
Thank you. It's so funny because it's not like I really always go out there and talk real estate, which I don't. When I go around with this little card, and I should do more now that the winter hopefully will be a little calmer. It's been very cold and snowy. Yeah. I don't really want to trek around, but I will pick it up again. It may be more seasonal, like I get the impetus, but I really enjoy it, and it becomes really getting to know people. And then I give them my Sotheby's real estate card just by the by, you know, that I'm saying I also do this, and I'm doing this just to give you a free exposure, and they're very excited about it. So I think that people have to be very creative. Everybody is out there trying to do the same thing in real estate. However, I would say it's more of a soft sell with me.
Yes.
It comes out just as we talk. This is what I do. Oh, I helped somebody. I tell a little story. You can't, you know, basically somebody came to the city and they were looking for somebody, a little story, and how I helped them buy or sell or find a place to rent in the interim until they know. And it just becomes a story. And I think that that really, really works as well. Now we can talk about the power of YouTube as well. We all know how important that is, and so many of us are fearful to get in front of the camera. I think it's really important, and people can connect with you over time with significant YouTube interviews or stories. So my plan, and every year I have another plan. I'll tell you what last year was. Sure. Last year with my media fellow, we did a series called Coffee with Vivien.
Nice.
And we did 17 or 18 episodes during the week. It was on Facebook Live, and it went streamed on Spotify. It was streamed everywhere through StreamYard. So anyway, it got streamed. He figured this out for me. And I interviewed top people in the city about food, fashion, architecture, environment, real estate. I had some fabulous real estate people on, and home inspect, the founder of one of the largest home inspection companies. Why is it important to have a home inspection? One of the top condo lawyers in the city talked to us about condo law. What are buyers supposed to know? What are the pitfalls? Then I did a whole series of relocation, and I interviewed agents within my company, my brokerage, from Sotheby's International Realty Canada. We talked about Niagara on the Lake, what's going on there with the top realtor. Victoria, Canmore, Banff, Muskokas.
Nice.
All the areas that I thought were really of some interest, six different locations across Canada, and Quebec, Mont-Tremblant, I think I mentioned. So I think this is interesting. So all I say is that be creative, that's a little outside my box. Okay. That's outside Yorkville, but it doesn't matter. It was fun. And it was a 30-minute live. And now I have all those videos on my website. Yep. Under Coffee with Vivien, which was last year's thing. And this year is going to be YouTube. And awesome. I'm going to focus on where the best place to shop, where the best places to eat, what are some condos to look into, if you have a dog, if you're looking to buy a condo and you're a boomer, you want larger space. So what are some buildings that I suggest that are larger, that have 1,800 square feet and more, because they need more space, the boomers like me. Whereas the first time buyers are happy with 500 square feet, 600 square feet. And
whatever they can get.
Whatever they can get and whatever they can afford.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're brainstorming topics, and nice. I'm going to roll them out. I haven't yet started, but I will. Talking about the annex, talking about Yorkville and the areas surrounding it. with
Yeah, that's
interesting
huge.
topics.
And I think video is one of the most important parts of any real marketing plan. And I think more and more agents have been told it, and yet less and less agents are doing it because they're afraid. Like you said, they're afraid of jumping in front of the camera. They have a uneasiness. They think they're going to look silly. And the reality is they're not doing it, and someone else will. And if they don't, someone was going to take that mind share in their farm. And because most agents aren't doing it, there's a huge opportunity, because we know that most agents are not going to do video. And I've said I've been in the business 14 years. And when I started 14 years ago, they were saying video's the future of real estate. And every year they keep saying that, and agents don't jump on. And you'd think there'd be this massive flood, and there still isn't. So there's still opportunity for agents to use video and use YouTube and things like that to really take it to the next level. But you got to get out of your comfort zone, and you got to have a plan. Like you said, you got to have it laid out and really figured out. And if you do that, you can see the results. So I want to talk about the content of the videos. And are you gearing that towards people who already live in the area, or are you doing it to people who live outside of the area looking to move into the area? Because I think there's a big difference on how you structure that.
Correct. I am going to do a combination of both.
Okay.
I want to highlight things to do in the city, why people want to move here.
Yep.
So it's for buyers, right? That
Yep.
series would be for buyers. Where are places that you can, or let's say the parks, and if you're a dog lover, and if you, all the things, where do you get the best desserts? Where do you get a certain item in a store? I don't know what, I'm just thinking aloud. I have to delineate all the topics. Things to do, things to shop, things to enjoy. And what brings you to the city core. Also costs of condos, give some examples, what you can get if you're looking to find a mega condo, what are the kinds of prices, where are the best. So it's really going to be a mix.
Nice.
I also gear towards selling. There are people who need to sell. And if you're thinking of selling, where are you going to move to? So that's the second tier. The buyers is how to sell the area. Yep. And all the pluses. And I'm working on that for now in February. If you need to sell due to larger family, needing to move out of the city, near to friends, near to family, near to, for what other reason, anywhere in Canada, that's another focus, or maybe abroad. And then the third tier is relocation and referrals. Well, referrals is number 3. I get a lot of referrals. Yep. From people, from agents all over North America that have hooked up with me globally through Sotheby's and other realtor networks. Yep. So then the third tier is referrals from other agents, because they know I work very heavily in the center core. And the fourth is relocation. So we have offices. Sotheby's has 1,000 offices in 75 countries all over the world, from Singapore to Rome to Hawaii to everywhere. And I plan to put myself out there by creating a new page on my website this year. And the new page is going to be about, I'm just thinking what it will be called, local expertise, something about local expertise, worldwide experience, worldwide. I'm not sure. I'm working on the wording. I'm actually, as we speak, working on the wording. Nice. So it's going to be a new page that I'm going to build out about referrals and relocation all over the globe.
Nice. That's awesome. And I think it's important that you looked at that and have different avenues. Like you said, you've got the buy, the sell, the referral, and relocation, because a lot of traditional real estate farming was based just on the sell side of it. It was just marketing to the sellers that live in that area and then hoping that they list with them. And that's the core of what 90% of most farming has been taught. And the reality is there's so many different opportunities. And I think one of the most overlooked is the buy side of it. Like you said, is you're looking to do why you want to move to this area, especially if you're in an area that there is a lot of movement in and out of the area and people are coming from other areas. If you're not capturing those buyers from outside of the area, you're missing out on a ton of business, because they may be a buyer now, but they'll be a seller down the road. And if you can fill your pipeline, again, if you're thinking long-term, you should be getting buyers now, and hopefully they'll be selling with you down the road. You have to have that full plan in order to capture the most. And I've tracked lots of different farms. I've tracked lots of different agents, competitions. And if you look, most people who do farming traditionally have a high listing rate in that area, but have a very low buy rate in that area. And what that tells me is they're not doing the right marketing to capture enough buyers in that area. They get listings, but they're not doing enough to get buyers to contact them. And to me, you're missing a ton of business, and you're leaving a lot on the table if you don't do it.
Absolutely. And buyers, if you look at my website, viviensharon.com, I have a whole area on my listings and my sales and my recent sold. So one represents this list of sellers that I listed and sold, and the list of buyers. And I make sure that people know that I'm just 50-50. I would say I'm 50-50. I also send out every month, once or twice, a really beautiful marketing piece by email.
Nice.
That has, and with all the photography that I've had every couple of years with the photography, I've had one, just a summer shoot last year and a shoot before that, because can talk about the book I released at the end. So I have my media fellow has a stock of really good and different pictures of me walking in I do a lot of video shoots, like little stills, and he puts them together, and he has artwork, and he creates this for me. So it's either little video snips, or it's the photographer, someone else who does me with motionless. And so twice a month I send out this newsletter, and it sometimes has a Yorkville banner with me reading or me eating or with me drinking a coffee. And the visuals are very unique and different, and done in a studio. I hired somebody, some are walking about and some are studio. So he's got a lot of material, and that also brands me in my e-marketing. And I show my recent sales, and this is what my recent that I represented the buyer. And then I put material that has to do with the market at this time.
That's great. And then again, like you said, that showcases to people that you are working both sides and not just seller heavy. It shows that you're a balanced agent, and people can connect. And if they are looking to buy, they'll reach out to you. If they are looking to sell, they'll reach out to you as well, which is impactful. So I want to shift gears a bit then, because I know part of your other specialty is the seniors market, because I know that does tie in well. So how have you leveraged that within your niche and then within your geographic area, and then outside of that? Because I think it's important to layer, and this is one of the things I teach. I call it strategy stacking, is where you layer in your strategies to get more out of it. Obviously, you've done well with that. You've done well with the work in the seniors market and combining it. So what does that look like for you as far as mixing those two niches together?
A few years ago, I realized that I do have an ability to connect with people of my age group. And you're talking the 50, 55, 60, 65 plus. So that's me, the boomer, which is the 55 plus their senior parents. I have a mother in her mid-90s. I also did a video on it, and I tell a lot of life stories on my website.
Nice.
Interviewing my mother. Tell me, Mom, what are things like for you? Where do you want to live? And she lives in her own condo with a caregiver. She's 96.
Wow.
So I understand what I'm going through, what my friends are going through, and what their parents are going through, because I have an elderly parent. So I realized this is a niche I totally understand as well, and I can help, because a lot of my friends haven't yet made a move. They're still in their suburban homes, like I was in North York, or they're north of Steeles or GTA bound somewhere, Richmond Hill, or I tend to be more north Toronto than east and west. And I work there too. I work beyond my farm up north. So I'm here to help them sell their homes, which I've had a lot of business the past while. COVID has stopped it a little. People are a little bit on pause, and this is a definite reality. The boomers are on a bit of a big pause right now. But there are some that are moving because they have to, because they lost a spouse. They can't carry the big home. They have had an accident in their home and they can't go up the stairs. They're going through a separation or divorce. At any age this can happen. So they need to sell their large home, and they call me because they're my sphere. A lot of my business is my sphere. And so much of my activity this past year has been that, and coming into what I'm going to do after this call. So what does this mean? That means I'm going to be selling their home in the suburbs, and they're going to come to me to find them a condo somewhere in the city, in Yorkville or beyond, because I've done it. And so I decided I've got to write a book on this topic. So during the first year and a half or year of COVID, certainly 2020 to the end of 2020, I wrote this book,
Nice.
The Boomer 7-Step Guide to Downsizing, Overcoming Fear, and Discovering Freedom.
Awesome.
And this has been sold and is being sold hard copy on Amazon. And I have the link for the free digital download copy if anybody wants it, or the link, I can give that to you. And this has given me great leverage because I spent a year every night writing this during COVID when nobody was going anywhere in 2020. And it was not easy, except not on the weekends, right? I didn't write on the weekend. Anyway, so I have a drip when people sign up for the book.
Nice.
For a year. They get a little tidbit from my book for free.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I've networked with this met people. And if they interview me at a listing presentation, I gift them the book. It's a $29.95 book on Amazon, Canadian, but I gift it to many people as a giveaway. It gives me credibility. I mean, this is who I am.
That's a big part of it. And that's something I've taught many times, is that becoming an author really helps elevate your expertise level, and having a hard copy especially just helps bring you to that. Even, I'm not saying there's nothing in it, but even if no one reads the book, just holding it, knowing that there's something there, that it just helps build trust with people, because you did take the time to write that book. You put the time to take your thoughts into it. And that really helps elevate and help you stand out and helps you create trust, which goes back to that positioning as the expert. That book can really help do that, which is huge. And again, especially in your market where you're mixing the two together, where you've got the lifestyles coming together, that just adds even more credibility into that.
It's a business card, but it's a really powerful one. It's worked for me. There's no doubt about it.
And the nice thing, I think, is that you've really thought out the process of who your ideal clients are, who the people that you're serving in the community and where they're coming from. And you've kind of figured out, reverse engineered, if you will, the steps of, like you said, they're moving from the suburbs, selling their bigger home, moving down. So you've kind of helped with those steps. You helped figure out the education side of things, and what they need to know, what they need to do. And that builds trust again. And it also creates marketing opportunities. And I think that's a big opportunity where a lot of agents miss out on, is they don't reverse engineer and then miss out on all those opportunities. Because if they're selling their house, there's an opportunity there. If they're getting a divorce, there's an opportunity there. If they're doing whatever, there's opportunities to connect and find people who are potentially buyers and sellers for you. And you've got opportunities to connect in more than just sending out a postcard each month to a neighborhood.
Yes, I really think that there are many, many layers to this. And I want to just add, before we close shortly, that building a network of specialists to work with you. I have that. And in other words, when I meet today, this afternoon, a boomer daughter my age and her elderly mother, and she needs to make a change for her, I can bring in somebody who can transition manage the process, who can help declutter her home where she's lived forever, like 40 years. They don't know, it's like paralyzing it with fear to get this done. And you need sometimes an outside resource. So I have a transition team of some women who come in and can assess how to put it in storage, donate it, dump it, do like all their whatever they need to do, gift to the family, organize it for them. And then they might need a money manager that they don't have, somebody to manage their resources there. I have like a list of 30 contractors, painters, get your home sold as stagers, because they have to sell their home and it has to look good. So I have a network of about 30 people out there. Wow. That can help if they need some help. I don't charge anything. I just give out the name and it's for you to deal if you need help. I do the real estate piece. Yep. I'm here to hold your hand for the real estate piece. It's very emotional, this whole thing at every stage, but certainly the older one gets. But I have a team that can help you do that. I think it's really important to have some great people behind you. You can't do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Leveraging is critical. And again, you've been doing this for a number of years, so that you've learned to pass off certain things. You've learned to put those pieces in place, which is important. And it didn't just happen overnight. You've added on, like you said, each year you plan something new to layer it in. And I think that's a great way to do that, instead of just trying to figure it all out in the first year. You've keep just continually gotten better. So I want to wrap up with a best piece of advice. That's one of the things we always ask each episode is, what's one piece of advice you would ask or give to our viewers who are thinking about getting into the luxury market or into the seniors market?
Well, I would suggest that you really go deep within yourself and have a meeting with yourself and decide, what are you best at? What are you best at? Are you confident to talk, let's say, on video? I know that many build confidence. With me at the beginning, I was not confident, but I was always in the media before, so it didn't come to me with great difficulty. But what are you comfortable at? What can you improve on? And really know who you are, and definitely be real. And people will know that. And then the business will come slowly. Yeah. Just talk it up the way you best do. Don't shove it into anybody's face, because people really will run away. It just comes up organically. Yeah. That would awesome. Be general. It's more of a deep think, I say. That's
great advice. And we always wrap up with a best book. So what's one book you'd recommend that's changed your life, or you think would have an impact on our viewers' lives as well?
Sure. So early on, I came across this book, The One Thing. And this is Gary Keller, founder of Keller Williams. I began there in Toronto, which was a great one of the affiliate offices. Yep. And I really felt that this was a great springboard for me, because it talks about the one thing you do best. Yep. And you got to figure that out. And I went to hear Gary Keller when he came 8-10 years ago to Toronto, to one of the big halls. And this book, I bought this book then, and he, I think, signed it as well. And I think the importance is for me, it's what I've done. Yeah. And I was always told, Vivien, you've got a great niche. This was when I started with Keller Williams. Glenn McQueenie is the owner of one or two of the North York office where I was at the time. And he interviewed me on one of his podcasts way when I was a beginner. He said, Vivien, work on your niche. He pushed it, and he really taught me that I have to do this. And I built it out in a big way because of him. That's awesome. I thank him, and I thank the book.
Yeah, it's an excellent book. You got to take the time and be committed to doing that one thing. And a lot of people get so scared of it. So you have to just go, hey, I'm going to double down and really focus on that one thing. And if you do it, it will pay off in the long run. So that's awesome. So how can our viewers check out what you're up to? How can they find out your book and find out more information about yourself?
So they can find me on viviensharon.com. On my website, they can find me, I'll just mention, on Facebook under Yorkville Lifestyle. That's my business. And of course, under my name is my private one. They can find me on Instagram, Yorkville Lifestyle, LinkedIn, under my name, Vivien Sharon. LinkedIn's a big one. Don't forget about LinkedIn. For connections. Twitter, Yorkville Life, YouTube. I have 2 channels, one under my name, Vivien Sharon, and Yorkville Lifestyle. And the book can be found if you go to viviensharon.com/book, you get the download.
Awesome.
And if you go onto Amazon, you just put the title, The Boomer's 7-Step Guide to Downsizing, and my name, Vivien Sharon, spelled with an E, sorry, Vivien. Then you'll see what that involves. As far as ordering the hard copy.
We'll put that in the show notes so people can check that out, and they can check out the book and your social media as well. So Vivien, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate you bringing your expertise and your insights and your experience and really your passion, because you can see how passionate you are about the lifestyle and what you're doing. And I know that our audience is really going to appreciate this episode. So thank you for being on, and really looking forward to getting this out to our viewers.
Thank you. A lot of fun. Best of luck to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for checking out today's episode. If you'd like more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook page and our other social media channels. Looking forward to bringing you more great content like this, and happy farming.